audience, who the audience, what happened. I gave them details. I talked about one case that I had, and I had a meeting with the curriculum. That's what I did. This is what I did past recently in my student teaching. That's what I did. And when I was talking to my classmate, because we were sharing some ideas, she did a graph, so I did a little graph, but I don't know if it's right, but I was thinking,
Yeah, you did a graph.
yeah, down on the bottom, but we could talk about this. Yeah, see, like I separated my audience, and yeah, something like this, but I don't know if it's good or not. I don't know. I'm not too sure.
I like the idea, but along the top there, see, along the like that first small box, so you want to put the criteria, along the top, and then
Up here, the criteria.
Right, yeah, at the very top, and and then
I did it. Go up. Did I do it?
Yeah, I think.
Can you go up real quick?
What?
Can you go up? I think I put the criteria. Go up. I think I did.
Well, no. Well, you want to do it inside the boxes, like so the criteria is going to be like what level is the student reading at? Like so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes.
Okay, this is more like for rating.
No, it's for anything. It's like a rubric. When you ever see, like, when your teacher gives you a rubric along the top and on the extreme left, it'll say, whether some aspect was met. What?
Okay, that you gave me a good idea. I think I have a rubric. I created a rubric before.
Right.
I think I'm gonna switch it around. I was thinking like how his rating, and so like for the rubric, because I was working with him for like 2 months. For each week, I did a rubric for him.
Right. Yes,
so
but
like,
then
I can change that around. I'll show you how I do
continue
that.
working title. Right. So, but unless you wanted to do something different with this, but usually, because when I see it like a structure like this, it looks like the rubric, and so here on the bottom you have the days. I think you should switch that to the top. Right. So this is a chart just for an individual student.
For the individual student. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm doing. But you know what? Now you gave me so much better ideas about the rubric, and you know what? After we hang up, I'm gonna work on that. That because I was explaining for each. Like this is what we're doing, and this and this, and the spelling problem.
Right. But I don't know. I think that you might want to make a separate graph for that. But this graph, now that I look at it with more detail, I'm thinking that this graph might be a really good idea in itself, and maybe keep this graph because it looks like you're saying right. So week 1, day 1. So it looks like you're trying to say what the student is doing every day out of the week.
Yeah.
Right, so I think that's good for this graph. So this is going to be not like a regular, rubric type graph.
No, this is like NOA collecting data, what he has struggling in.
Right.
This is like
day
1 he couldn't do anything. Day 2 he ended up doing. Day 3,
day 4, day 5. Exactly. Yeah, I think this is good. I don't think you should change this then. But I just think you should put the days on top though, instead of on the bottom. And then right. And I would say, day 2. But see on the bottom there, so you have week. So like 1 week, day 1.
Only for week 1, day 1.
Right, so that's okay, but see how you have, I would probably capitalize everything, so you have 1 capitalized, so capitalize week and capitalize the word day.
Okay.
Right, and then on the second one, see day 2, but see how, so you want to keep it consistent because you're using numbers, so don't switch to the word 2. Right, so you're going to keep it day 2, and then use the number 2, right? And then day 3, that's good. So today, I would just leave it at day 4, and then day 5. Right. So, but just right. So day 4 and day 5, Right. Just switch. Just instead of today, just leave it day
Yeah,
4.
oh, yeah, that was a typo. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And then but move all of this at the top though. You know. And like the
Well,
days right. And then because that'll be what
but then
people.
you know what? You know what? I would create a whole rubric, and then this is the criteria, and I will explain to the mom. This is how
Right.
I think you should do
Right,
it.
but this is
Yeah,
good though. This is good separate. So this is not going to be a
yeah, you
rubric.
think
Yeah,
so?
you're going to be tracking the child with this. This is good. I
Yeah,
like this.
I was trying to find,
I think that's a good idea though. So because you're just it's like a record of what the child is doing. So I like
yeah.
that. So let's see what we have at the top here. So describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. What were the circumstances? Who was the audience? Okay, so describe a success you have had explaining student achievement results to others. Right, and so so achievement results to others. What were the circumstances? Who was the audience? Right. So I guess that could be. So what were the circumstances? So like what. Like what genre or what situation were you teaching in, and then were you explaining it to like other professionals or the child's parents?
What?
Right. So I think that's the way you could address that. So throughout my professional careers, okay. So because careers is
Many
plural. Um,
careers.
so people talk from career. I don't think you need the get rid of the comma there. So throughout my professional career, people have. Wait, throughout. Oh, throughout. No. Oh, I thought you said throughout. Why did I read my? It says throughout many professional careers. So right. So it should say many. I mean, it should say throughout because you're talking about you, and so I would probably change this throughout my professional career. Because you're talking about because that's what um the question is asking. So like how did you explain? So let's just go back to the question real quick, and then so describe a success you have had. So right, so you don't want to talk about like you don't want to speak in generalities at this point. So describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. Like to friends, family, to the students, to you know your other professionals like the principal, to a teacher, another teacher, maybe because you could think about. So describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. So let's say that a teacher, you're working as a student teacher, and a teacher can't help a student. So this is asking you to kind of like explain how you would explain to that child's teacher how you were successfully able to get that child to read or write. Right. So that's right. So that's one way that you could think about it, and then but then you could say the same thing. How did I get your child? When you're talking to a parent, how did I get a child to improve in reading and writing? Because right, so this is your success, So how did you successfully help someone? So that's what it's asking you. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what were the circumstances and who was the audience? Right, so that next question, what were the circumstances? So that could be, were you teaching in a class? Were you the teacher? Were you the teacher? Were you a student teacher? Were you babysitting? So anything like that, So, right. What?
So what I did was I explained.
No, okay, yeah. So I'm gonna read it though, and then so if I can understand it, because if you explain it to me, it's like it should stay there because you can't explain it to the professor. So because I should be able to read it and understand everything. Because if you explain it to me, then you're giving me too much heads up, So I should be able to see it in writing exactly what you were about to explain. Because you're not going to be able to explain it to the professor. So that's why everything should be here, and you shouldn't have to explain anything. So while I'm reading this, you know what I was thinking though? While I'm reading, so instead of just sitting there, maybe you want to, you have anything else to work on? So can you work on something else while I'm reading and stay like right in front of the computer? Can you do reading? So you don't have to just sit there and do nothing and just waste the time. You know what I mean?
I'm watching what you.
Right, but while I'm reading, I'll say it. So, but while I'm reading, if I don't have to make a lot of changes.
Do the corrections and I work on something else.
Yeah, but can you do it like while you're sitting right there in front of the computer, so you won't just have to sit there? I'm thinking so we can kind of multitask, because I don't know. It seems like a lot of times you're sitting there, and then I'm wondering if I'm wasting your time. Where you could actually be doing something at the same time.
I'm learning. Honestly, like I go back, like whatever the corrections you do, this was helping me for the previous thing that we did together. This was helping me how to do it. I'm like, wait a minute, I go back and I check it. I go back and I go check it.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I'm learning how you correct. I'm like, oh, okay, like this. Oh, okay, like this.
Right. Right. Okay.
I'm learning. Like I don't even go. Like I don't even look at anything or do anything.
Right. Okay. Okay. If you want to do it that way, I was just wondering though if I was wasting too much time.
No, because the thing is that I'm gonna get confused. If I do something, then I'll be like, wait a minute, what do you change?
Yeah, no, I would actually, I'm going to talk about it as, but I'm wondering, like, while I'm reading, but okay, so we'll just continue to do it this way then. And, so we're going to change from mini to, we're going to just make it throughout my professional career instead of throughout many professional careers, because, right, because.
Okay, so you want to, question. So this is the reason why. So you want me to keep it straight, like about me then? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Because. Yeah. See the way the questions constructed. So describe a success you have had. So they're not really talking about like describe a success teachers have had. Right. So they want to know. So the question's asking you specifically for you, but not for all teachers. You know what I mean? Right.
Okay.
Right. So that I'm thinking that it'll be best if you begin with, and maybe you could talk about teachers in general at some point, but mostly it's going to be focusing on what success you've had, and in achieving results. Like how do you explain how you achieved gaining results for students. And right, so that's why I'm thinking, so throughout my professional career, that first sentence,
okay.
Right, so then, so that's why we're going to get rid of many, and now we're going to get rid of people, so, oops, what the hell? I thought I moved it over already. So because we're talking about you, so we don't, because the thing is, like, unless you're reading a book that's talking about, an article or a book that's talking about how teachers have had success, then, you could say, well, this author states that, throughout many professional careers, people have had responsibilities, And so here it's specifically asking you about you. And I would say, maybe like later on at some time in the essay, you can talk about how you've used techniques that you've read about, or used techniques, because you always want to bring the reading in, of how you.
Well, I have. When
okay.
You see it, I have.
Okay, good. So let's see. So throughout my professional career, I have. Let me see. But so how are we gonna do this? Responsibilities. So let's get rid of have, because that doesn't work anymore. So throughout my professional career, have responsibilities, right. So throughout my professional career, responsibilities. Yes, so here, right, so we have, see how you have two responsibilities there, so you have to be careful with that. But this is why I like Microsoft Word over like Google Docs. But so see how, can you see the screen where
Yeah.
right, so I brought up and I scroll down to synonyms, and then you could see responsibilities, errands, tasks. So because you have responsibilities right there, they're too close. You don't really want to use the same word, that soon in a sentence. So everyday jobs, household tasks, farm duties. Like so here, um, I don't think tasks may be the closest, but I'm not sure. So one major task for a special. Right, actually, that might work. Right, so tasks, so we can replace career. So throughout my professional career, so I would say this sentence might be a little short though. That first sentence, because it doesn't really give enough indication about what you might want to convey. So right, so I'm just trying to use right, so one, I wouldn't say one, because what if you say a major, because one, I think it locks you into, just like one. So I think a major responsibility, right? So we got rid of that other responsibility. So now,
Okay.
right? So now I don't think we even need to use task anymore. So throughout my professional career, a major responsibility for a special education teacher is to is to provide instruction and support for the students and their families. Okay, good. Yeah, I think that this sentence would work a bit better now. Yeah, because it has more of a complete,
Oh, okay.
of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
complete
yeah.
idea. Where I think that first sentence there wasn't enough of a complete idea. So like, what's your responsibility? And right, so I think that's good. Teachers' philosophy to always have students feel comfortable. So maybe so here I would say let's change this to A. I think I'm not too crazy about this, only because it isn't talking about you. It's back to generalities. So, but I think you might be able to get away with it because you talk about your professional career, as in my professional career. So, how long does this actually need to be?
Oh, it has to be about like 4 pages.
Okay, let's see. So, a teacher's philosophy to always have students feel comfortable
But
learning.
today he told me that this is a rough draft. This is due
Okay,
today.
good.
I should send it to him and he gives me feedback. But he didn't give me the other feedback in the first time. But I'm still gonna send it to him right today.
Okay.
So because next
Okay.
week I have an appointment with you
Okay,
and I want to
let's.
work on the 2 other questions.
Okay, good. Let's see. So a teacher's philosophy is to always have, right. So I'm just adding is, and a. So you see what I changed there. So a teacher's philosophy is to always have students feel comfortable learning in the classroom. It's still not a teacher's philosophy should be. I think
Or
should
my
be.
philosophy.
A teacher's philosophy should. Oh, let me just get this out before I forget it, and then should be to always. Right. So what did you say?
So it could be like my philosophy because every time before I teach a student
Should
or
be
in
to
the class,
always
I
have
always want
students
them
feel
to make
comfortable
them feel
learning in the
comfortable.
classroom.
You know, make them feel comfortable, make them feel like
Right.
they could do it,
Right.
even though they're struggling.
Right.
Never hesitate of learning.
Right. Let me see. A teacher's philosophy should be to always have students feel comfortable learning in the class. Okay, good. I think that's perfect. Let me see. Right, so that's a good idea that you have there. So let's see. Let's bring this up a little. So, the advantage of.
This is where I got from a book, from the same one. I know I didn't put the name, but I was thinking this is a nice thing talking about like someone labor inside that having
So
someone.
why didn't you put the name though?
You know what it was? I wanted to see if it fits. I didn't know. Like I like the quote, but I don't know. I was gonna ask you if it's good or not.
That's okay. But I think it might be good practice to always, whenever you use a quote, just always set it up. So you'll remember and you'll get more comfortable with it. So, because I noticed sometimes when you'd cite sources, you'd cite them a little differently. So sometimes you'd like not put the period, you not put the period outside of the site, and you put it at
Oh,
the end of
yeah,
the
yeah, that
sentence,
was my
right? So you have to be careful. So that's why whenever it's good, to do this, to practice it, exactly what you did, but set it up as if you were going to actually use it that way, to get into practice, of using MLA,
Yeah,
APA, or Chicago. So is this the beginning of the sentence, though?
yeah.
Right. So okay. So again, so you want to capitalize. So always capitalize. But again, this is why you desperately need to. So who's the author?
The same author from last time. It was. Hold on, let me go.
Let's see.
Oh no.
Let's see. So. Oops.
Okay, the author is the same author. It's Jose and Melissa, but the last name is.
Okay. So what if we start out with in the article?
Not in the book, in the textbook.
Okay, we can just say in the book. And then, what's the title? Oops.
Writing literacy review.
Writing. Let me see if I can. Literacy. Review. Okay, and then we'll close quote that. Say, written by. And then, what was that? Jose. Is that Jose? Jose. What was the L? You with me?
It was Jose L.
What was the last name? Oh, was it Galvan?
Galvan.
It doesn't say it right there.
Yeah, Galvan. I was trying to read it. Galvan and.
Was that Melissa?
And Melissa.
Why am I getting this before you?
C.
Was that M-E or M-I? Melissa.
M-E.
Melissa. What's her middle initial? Is it A?
C, capital C.
Okay. C.
And Galvan.
Okay. Galvan. Okay. Well, the authors. Yeah, so see, this is why you gotta practice this. This is your profession now. This is your craft. So you gotta do the work. And then right now it might be a little difficult, but if you keep doing it, it's gonna get easier. If you don't practice it, if you don't do it, it's never gonna get easier. It's always gonna be, oh, this is difficult. I don't want to do the detail. You know what I mean? State that.
Even though, because this question is relating to question one, even though I cite from them, I still have to keep on citing. Like, he would know this is only from one book. I don't know.
That's okay. It's kind of like a professional courtesy, because you want to make sure that the professor understands that you didn't change books.
Oh,
So if you're going to cite again, so once you introduce everything like this, the title and the author's full name, then you could just say Galvan and Galvan state, or the author's state,
Okay.
Right, if you're not changing books. But if you're changing books, if you're using more than one book, then you'd have to constantly say Galvan and Galvan state, to make sure that the professor knows that you're not changing.
Okay.
So in the book,
So what do you think about the quote?
Let's see. So the advantage of considering someone else's labor and insights, that is, of having someone on whose work they can build, or with whom they can agree or disagree. Okay, so I think you might need a longer quote though, because so see, the period was there. I took the period out. No period. See, I took the period after the word agree or disagree. No period between the last word and the close quote. Okay. All right. So this is what I'm trying to get you to get comfortable with, because you don't want to. This is these are the mistakes that I'm seeing. So and then so now we have to shift 9, and then so it's gal van comma space gal. Let me see, am I doing this right? Galvan, and then so this is you don't is this APA or MLA style?
APA.
Okay, so then I think the year was 2017 you had.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you remember what page?
Page 3.
Very good. And then so you see how this. So this you got to do this every time, or you're never gonna remember it. And you're gonna constantly make mistakes. If you don't use it, you lose it. you know. Okay. So right. I think you probably should have taken. I don't think there's enough information here.
What do you want me to?
So they have. If you could find something where the authors are specifically referring to, a student.
Wait, hold on. Maybe.
Right. So wait. You can't go yet. I haven't finished telling you what to look for. So you have to find it where they're specifically talking about or writing about a student or a teacher. So it looks like it's the beginning of something they're trying to say. So the advantage of considering someone else's, but like when you say the advantage of considering someone else's labor and insights. So how is that being applied though to describing?
So like right here on page 5, right? It says that the problem of a reviewer needs a synthetic, a variety of research report, nearly to find a prompt given in the area, looking for considering report to report while keeping in mind that the research defines his or her problem in different ways. Oh, I like this one. So this maybe we could change this to this one. I don't know. I could send you.
Okay, no, you're gonna do that on your own. Okay,
No.
when I give it back.
I want to know if it's this or not.
Yeah, it sounds like it's definitely more detailed than this one. So because it sounds like I think it sounds better, but because I think it suits because so here again, what you're trying to answer is we go back to the question: describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. So does this? Because I don't think there's enough information on the one that you have here, on this quote that you have here. You know what I mean? It doesn't help you describe. It doesn't help. Describe your success, or explain of how you assisted students with others. So again, if we go back, so the advantage of considering someone else's labor and insights, that is of having someone who,
Hold on, look at this one.
wait, come on, let's go over this. You can't, we're going over this, so you have to stay with me here, because we have to read this together so we can understand. This is it's education. It's how you become scholarly. You have to reread these things over and over again. Just like a lot of times, if you don't understand like the syllabus, what the professor's telling you, you may have to read that syllabus over 10 to 20 times. I had to go through this. Everybody has to go through this. I used to read the syllabus. And I would read it over, and I say, I don't understand what the hell I don't understand what the hell this professor's talking about. This professor's stupid. Of course, after I read it 5 times or 10 times, I realized, no, I'm the stupid one, because I don't know how to read. Because I should have read that syllabus over and over again 10 to 20 times. And after I did that, then everything made sense. And I felt stupid, because the professor explained it clearly, and very easily. And I was going to do something different and make my life different, but if I would have just read it, everything would have been very clear and easy. The professor wasn't asking me to do a lot of dumb stuff that I was thinking about. But you have to reread it. You can't just read the syllabus once. You have to reread it 10 to 20 times. The first time, and then you have to go over it again and again. But that's why we have to reread this. We have to reread this over and over again. You have to reread these questions and then break them down. I know you're not listening. I don't want to hear that crap. That's why I got you for. You read it. You type it.
That's why I said I hate quotes because it pulls us off, you know?
What?
No. I am listening, and I know how you say reread it over. I was rereading over. This took me all day yesterday to do this. It bothered me.
Okay, you don't have to tell me that. Good. So don't tell me that. Show me that in your writing, though. That's where I want to see it. If you tell me, it doesn't matter. So show me in your writing, you know?
Okay. Can I show? Can you? I sent you email. Can you see that quote?
Read it again.
The one I sent you.
Yeah. So describe a success you have and explain. Because I'm trying to save a little time here. So if we can agree, because I'm going to try to explain it to you why this one's not proper and then why that one is, or why they're both not proper. So you can see it yourself, and then you can use it. You could use it. Describe success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. What?
You know what? I like this one because I always talk about different ways. It says
right. So does that? Right. So does that meet that requirement for that? So describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. Does that address that issue?
Yeah, I think so. Defining problems and giving an area, looking at the let's see if I'm reading that right. Hold on.
Let's see. So describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. So you've achieved, you've had a breakthrough with a student, and you've helped them improve in reading and writing. So how do you explain that to others?
Consistency. There's inconsistencies from the report, while keeping in mind that each research defines this is her problem, how somewhat in different ways. So I'm thinking this is how it is. Like you're gonna find a different way to find an insight of a different way to help these children. You know.
Right. So does that address this question? So describe a success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. Do you think that addresses that?
I think so because it says that to define different ways the problems that how describe a success, because before you describe success you're not going to go 1 day or 2 days with the child. Oh great, he did great and we did our achievement. No, it's going to take a while.
Not necessarily. I mean, I've helped people that that some people that take a while to improve, and then some people that pick it up immediately. You know, but right. But that's what I'm talking about. That's what you have to define, though. You know, so describe the success you have had in explaining student achievement results to others. So you have to say that it took a while. So when you say a while, so you're going to have to move away from these generalities, because a while means nothing. You know, a while could